Hi everybody, I'm going to do a little short series called Perfect EDC. Um, I've been trying to find the perfect EDC for me, and you might like this style. I stole it from Birdshot 4, and there's quite a few other knife videoists out there that are doing this style as well. So I stole this version, or this format from them. Anyhow, you've probably known from watching my other videos, if you've watched them, I do work for the phone company. I'm a linesman, and I very often need a knife to strip wires, open boxes, whatever. So my son, a number of years ago, got this for me. It's a buck knife. I'll show it to you there. It's a canoe knife, and as you can see, when you open it up, it actually is shaped like a canoe. This works really well. It's a great knife. I actually lost this at the bottom of a telephone pole one day. I was working up at the top of the pole and it slipped out of my hand and fell down into the snow. It was gone for approximately 3 years. It was actually in this state here. It was open up like that. And I remember the pole I was at. I searched for it, and I couldn't find it. Like I say, my son had got it for me for Father's Day when he was down in North Conway, New Hampshire one time. And it meant a lot to me. And it bothered me that I couldn't find it. So just this past summer, I was in the same area and drove by that pole and I thought, well, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to stop and take another look there. And when I did, sure enough, I found it. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or not. I do have some pictures of the before and after, but it was in relatively good shape for spending 3 years out in the New Brunswick wilderness. We'll say it has held up really well. There was a little bit of rust on it. I had to take a bit of that off. The brass pieces here were all corroded up a bit. I just didn't take anything, just a little bit of sandpaper or some really fine 600 grit sandpaper, and I cleaned that up. The wood, you can see how the wood on this side, I don't know what the light on it, is a little duller than this side. See, this side is nice and shiny, still has the original finish on it. This side was actually down. So this side was up, exposed to the sun, and it bleached it a little bit. But other than that, it's no worse for the wear, and it still keeps a really nice edge. These buck knives are really good. Obviously tough. The only thing about it for an EDC, it's not a one-hand open, and it doesn't have a lock on it, blade lock. So you always run the risk of cutting your hand up, which I've done a couple times. And it's very nice with the job I do if I can have a hand or a knife that's a one-hand open. So after I lost this, I was looking through Harbor Freight, and I come across this. It was I can't remember if this was like a $2.99 knife or if it was free with a certain purchase. I can't remember, but anyway, somehow I ended up with it. It's a real piece of crap. There we go. It's Power Fist. You can see that. Yeah, it's a great brand. It's some mystery Chinese steel. It feels like probably 420, maybe. You can get a nice edge on it, but it doesn't last long. And it's not very comfortable in the hand. It's hard to open one-handed. Well, you can easily open like that, but I don't know if you can see that or not. The liner lock actually does lock in place really well, but it's not the knife I'm looking for. So then I started watching Birdshot 4, and I was introduced to these guys, Gonzo knives. I ordered one of these. It took about a month to come from China. See a little schmutz here on the case. Really like this knife. This knife, it's the Gonzo G727M. It's 440C, which is the carbon steel. It's not a real stainless. It's a high carbon steel, so you got to watch it. It will rust up on you. You've got to keep it greased. As you can see, I use all my knives. None of these are in pristine shape. The thing I do like about this a lot is the access lock. Because your fingers are out of the way when you will close this with a frame lock or a liner lock. Your finger's always in the way when you're closing the knife up. So with the access lock, it's nice because you can just pull that down and all your fingers are out of the way of the blade. This knife worked well for me. The only thing is with the job I do, I am in customers' houses quite often, and you come into someone's house and you snap this guy open, it looks a little too stabby. That's what my wife says. She looks a little too stabby, and might turn some people off, and you know, especially here in Canada. Oh my God, he's got a knife! Type of thing, right? It does work good. The steel's good. It keeps an edge actually for 440C steel. I'm surprised at how long this edge does stay really sharp. Like I can, that's not right now, but I can get this shaving sharp, and it doesn't take that long. And it does keep the edge fairly well, and it'll tear the shit out of some boxes, I tell you. It's good for stripping wires as well. It's a bad deploy. Good for stripping wires. It's got a good feel to it when you're cutting into the insulation. You can, it's nice and thin, so you can feel when you're through the shielding and you're just getting into the copper, so you know to let off on it. It's good that way. It is a little bit big too, and it's a little bit heavy. It weighs down in my pocket a bit. So I then started looking for something a bit smaller and, like my wife says, a little bit less stabby. So I was then over to Ace Hardware one day. Found this little gem. It was, I can't remember how much this was, like $11 or something. It was smaller, but I was always interested in a flipper, and I didn't know it at the time, but when I got it, it's a assisted open flipper. It's not the greatest looking thing. It's got this mother of pearl thing that looks like it came right out of the Gay Pride Parade. But it was a nice little knife. But it's not what I'm looking for either. It's 440 stainless steel. Doesn't keep an edge quite as good as the Gonzo, and it's really too small for my hand. Like, I've got a fairly large hand. I usually wear between a large and extra large glove, so it doesn't feel good in the hand. It's got a good lockup on it though, and it does open well. It opens up quite well. But so I knew that this wasn't it for me, and the search continued. So I'm going to cut this video off here, and I'll bring you another one with my next batch of knives that I've gone through trying to find the perfect everyday carry knife for me. Excuse me, for me. See you in a bit.